Bonjour les amis, bonjour et bienvenue à Paris. Welcome to Paris. Happy to be back in Paris, as I'm sure you are as well. Bienvenue, welcome. I know today I should have quite a few Australian and Kiwi visitors. This one is especially for you. Bonjour, bonjour les amis. It's too early for a lot of other people. They will have to catch the replay, but for once I thought it'd be nice to do something for you so you can watch it live as well. We are in the heart of a lively neighborhood in Paris called the 12th Arrondissement. There are very residential, very peaceful sections of this arrondissement, but I picked a section where I used to come a lot when I lived in the 11th arrondissement nearby about 30 years ago. I am standing inside a square or public garden, which some of you probably recognize. It's called the Square Trousseau, T-R-O-U-S-S-E-A-U. I recognize a few names scrolling by on the screen. Hey, Catherine. Bonjour, bonjour. So the Square Trousseau, it's hard to imagine today as we see those young families on a Saturday morning playing and enjoying the beautiful trees in here in the heart of the big city. It's hard to imagine that a long time ago, back in the 17th century in fact, we had a place here that was run by nuns who took care of the lost and found children of Paris. For centuries, hundreds of kids were abandoned in the streets. People were very poor, and so there was a place here as early as the 17th century that took care of those children. The found children of Paris, they called it. And eventually, this place turned into a hospital, and at some point in time in the 19th century, it even became a hospital for sick children. Until it was moved, they moved it to a different location of Paris. We have a big hospital nearby. We'll talk about it as well, l'Hôpital Saint-Antoine. And so in the early 20th century and during the Belle Époque, in fact, this place, this location became this square, this little public garden that you see today, le Square Trousseau. So I thought I would start here. Why not? There's a lot of history to talk about on the stroll, but you know, I'm all about connecting the past and the present. I'm also all about sharing Parisian street vibes, which I know a lot of you miss because you haven't been back for a long time. We have some interesting shops around here. Le Blé Sucré, which you see directly across from me with the grey awning, is actually one of the most renowned boulangeries in Paris. Le Blé Sucré, the sweet wheat. So if you come here, make sure to check it out. Bonjour, bonjour, welcome. I see you, I see your messages. Look at these beautiful facades. A lot of them were added at the beginning of the 20th century when the former hospital for children was turned into a square, a public garden anchoring this neighborhood. You can see the buildings are in excellent shape. So I have a fun stroll, a fun virtual stroll planned for you today. You may know I am on my way to the United States, where I haven't been and I haven't seen the US or my son now for 18 months, and so I'm really looking forward to taking off on Sunday. But before that, I thought there would be time for one last virtual tour in Paris until the next one next month, since I now live in the Loire Valley, as you probably know. Just a quick little hello for those of you who don't know me yet. I have a face mask under my chin. You'll have to I apologize, have to forgive me. I'm doing this in case the market gets crowded. I still wear face masks outdoors when places get crowded. So my name is Vero. I am a virtual tour guide, a French language instructor, and a full-time content creator on Facebook, on Instagram. And I share Paris, I share the rest of La Belle France, especially my new region where I live now, the Loire Valley. So, you know, I'm camera shy. I think you're here to see Paris more than Vero, your virtual tour guide. But I always say a quick little hello and a quick little message at the end. We have some really beautiful trees in this garden. It's nice in Paris when streets get really loud with traffic. It's really nice to have places like this where you can sit on a bench and regroup and enjoy some peace and quiet. Welcome to all of you, and to all of you who will be watching this as a replay later when you wake up. I know it's really early, but because I'm doing this early for my Aussie and Kiwi friends, I will be able to show you a place which normally would be closed late afternoon. So this is an opportunity which we're going to make the most of. We are now on the Rue du Faubourg Saint-Antoine. You know this street probably. If you go in this direction, you would reach la Place de la Nation, and farther east you would reach Vincennes. And if you go in this direction, you see it in the distance, le Génie de la Liberté standing in the center of the famous Place de la Bastille. A few months ago, in the winter, I took you to the Place de la Bastille, told you the story about the square, and showed you the new and improved Place de la Bastille. So you can head to YouTube, the France with Vero YouTube channel, and check it out. It was a really interesting virtual stroll. I took you by the water as well. We talked about the Paris waterways, so don't hesitate to watch that later. But here, along the Rue du Faubourg Saint-Antoine, Faubourg refers to a place that was typically outside the Paris city limits. So Faubourg means a village, a hamlet, a place that's outside the city limits. And this is where we were here, a neighborhood that grew. And we'll talk about how it grew. But if you had come here about 40 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, when I first moved to Paris, and even before that, you would have found along the street, instead of chain stores and clothing stores, you would have found a lot of furniture stores. And in the back alleys in this neighborhood, lots of private courtyards, and hard to get into these days, you would have found a lot of woodworkers, glass makers, a lot of artisans and craftsmen. And this has been the identity of this entire neighborhood since the Middle Ages, since the 12th century. The reason this neighborhood could do that is because the Bastille was so close, the Port de l'Arsenal, the harbor, the small harbor. And so the wood would come on the boats and they would unload wood and at the Bastille basically and bring it here. There was also a very powerful abbey in this neighborhood, one that was as powerful in fact as the one known as Le Temple in the Marché neighborhood. We've also taken a tour there in the past. The abbey was called l'Abbaye Saint-Antoine des Champs, Saint Anthony of the woods, of the fields, if you will. That tells you it was pretty rural here. And this abbey was run by abbesses. Some of them were from the nobility and early on tied links, very strong links with the monarchy. So in the Middle Ages, you had French kings who basically granted special rights to this abbey. And one of the rights they gave them was to be able to not pay any taxes on what they produced here to the local corporations that were quite powerful in the Middle Ages. And by extension, this privilege extended to all the people in the neighborhood known as Saint-Antoine des Champs, or Saint-Antoine. And so artisans, woodworkers settled down here. And this is why this neighborhood early on was a quartier populaire, working class neighborhood. And it remained that way. And even today, this is not a touristy area. You won't find many tourists here unless they happen to stay in one of the Airbnbs. And because it was a popular classe populaire or working class neighborhood, it was also pretty restless. The men from this neighborhood joined the storming of the Bastille next door, and through the 19th century, most of the major uprisings and revolutions either started here or developed here. We had barricades in the streets, 1820, 1830, 1848, and even during the Commune uprising, when the people of Paris rebelled against the authorities after the Franco-Prussian War and refused to surrender, an uprising that was crushed by terrible repression. And this was one of the last neighborhoods to fall. So a lot of activism here, definite working class roots. It continues today. And as you can see, not all the buildings are grand. Even if this one, for example, they've clearly added floors, I'm sure that in the 19th century, a lot of these buildings were a lot lower as they used to do then. So there is a bit of a mixed match in terms of a bit of a mix in terms of architecture. But if you go into the side streets, you would probably recognize early on the humble roots of this neighborhood. Now, the reason I'm excited to be here at around 11 a.m. today is because we have one of Paris's most renowned, most famous outdoor markets here. And if I did a live stream, as I usually do, late afternoon, the market would be over. This is the famous Marché d'Aligre, D''Aligre. This is still today one of the most affordable markets in Paris. And you, my lucky friends, because you are up late or early, depending on where you are going to take a stroll through this market, which is getting very busy now because it's after 11. So I will try and share with you, I'm putting on my face mask here. I'm going to try and share, bonjour monsieur, I'm going to try and share some street vibes. I know you love these. If you come to Paris, you have to come check out this market. It's very unique. It's been here for a long, long time, and I will tell you a little bit more about its history later. You have some merchants, a lot of merchants along the street, La Rue d'Aligre, but you also have some interesting stores like right here, the Café à Uba, which is a roastery. It's very small, there's barely standing room in it, but if you enjoy your French bitter coffee, you can come and stand on the counter and enjoy some. Pardon, monsieur. Pardon, madame. Pardon. So this is, I think, very authentic in terms of representing what Paris is today and France in general. It is multi-ethnic, it's a very multi-ethnic neighborhood, a lot more realistic than other markets you would see in Paris, a lot more affordable too, I've said that. You see the little caddies, les caddies we call them, those little carts that people drag behind them. Watch out when you go to a French outdoor market because you can trip over them very easily. So the produce here tends to be beautiful and it tends to be cheaper than in other markets in Paris. So people know that and they come here. And on the sides you have all sorts of shops. Traiteur is a deli. Fromager over there is a cheesemonger. There is a famous poissonnerie, a fishmonger, cheesemonger I think I said, I mixed them up. Here is a nice wine store, Au Vieux Tonneau. And buy your wine here. So it's crowded, but I'm going to try and show you what's fun to see here. We will see why this market is quite unique in Paris. You kill 3 birds with 1 stone when you come here. Because you have the produce market, outdoor market along the Rue d'Aligre, and it continues a little farther up. You have a flea market, les puces, when you can buy a lot of fripes, we call them, cheap clothes, F-R-I-P-E-S, and you have a covered market, le Marché Beauvau. That's why I brought you here. One of the oldest markets in the city, super popular with Parisians, locals, but not just locals, people who come from other neighborhoods as well. Very hard at this time because lots of people here. But look at the beautiful produce. And you can see the tags here tell you where the produce is coming from. They tell you if it's French or if it comes from other countries, but it's really beautiful. These yellow things here are mirabelle, very tiny, tiny little plums, very sweet. Look at the beautiful mushroom over there. And some framboises, raspberries, fraises, strawberries, les girolles, les cèpes, portobello, les cèpes. Look at the size of the mushroom. Beautiful produce. And like I said, fairly affordable compared to other places. And then signs of gentrification, unavoidable in Paris. Naturalia, which is one of the popular new chains that sell products that are biologique or organic. The hipsters, les bobos, our Parisian bobos are quite fond of them. Look at the herbs. They tell you it's persil, parsley, coriander, menthe, mint. 40 cents for a big bunch. It's a steal. And it smells wonderful. I can smell the mint from here. Look at the size of the carrots. Les carottes, les poireaux, leeks. Just beautiful. So when you come here, you need to check out the produce, of course, where I'm walking, but also the stores on the side. And locals have, they know the stores. You hear the gentleman shouting out. This is la vente à la criée, crier from to shout. It's not done very often in Paris anymore. I used to love shopping in my old neighborhood, the 17th Arrondissement, along the Rue de Lévis. Merci, monsieur. The gentleman says his avocados are top quality. So in my old neighborhood along the Rue de Lévis, the merchants would do that as well. As you walk by, they would just shout out, "Come here, my stuff is great." And a lot of markets don't do that anymore. Look at the Frenchie, le bulldog français. He's shopping too. So this is the Rue d'Aligre, the main street for the outdoor market where the fresh produce is sold. The market is open every day except Mondays. Some days are busier than others, like today, obviously. It keeps going, and here we are on the square named Place d'Aligre. Some flowers on the right. This is a covered market, le Marché Véro, where we will go next. But first we need to check out the flea market, les puces. A lot of cheap stuff. You can find some deals. I used to come here when I was much, much younger and lived in the 11th Arrondissement. I used to come to this flea market for books. I hope they're still there. I haven't checked them out this morning. You can see it's quite a lively scene. Always careful not to film people too much. They don't like it. Peaches, les pêches. The first apples, les pommes. Look at the size of the pears, les poires. All right, let's scoot over on the Place d'Aligre to check out les puces, the flea market. I know you will enjoy that. Now, like I said, you need to dig things out here. This is not a fancy flea market, not like the one in Saint-Ouen or the one in Les Puces de Vanves in the southern part of Paris. But I'm sure you can find some treasures, especially if you're looking for things for home, dishes. Look at these old knives. Silver. So people do look, because occasionally you will find a treasure here. And prices are quite good. And of course here you are expected to, it's okay to actually try and bring the prices down. And I don't think they expect you to pay the price right away. Crystal here. Ooh, look at the pretty glasses. We were talking about that this week with the Friends with Vero club members in their private Facebook group. We were talking about those wines in Alsace, in the Alsace region, the wines with the green stems here that you use to drink Riesling, sorry. I haven't seen postcards yet, but I'll keep my eyes open. I'm going to be here for a few minutes. Let me know if you see them. We have some wall art here. Ah, les livres. The books are still here. That's where they used to come for. If you follow me in Tours in the Loire Valley for where I live, you know I found a great store recently that sells used books in impeccable condition. And I have recently made some great deals there as I was trying to rebuild my library, personal library, since a lot of my books have stayed in the US when I came back 2 years ago. What do we have? What do we have? I'm trying to show you as much as I can. We have more books there. Let's try and find something different. Ah, I see some fripes, old clothing, F-R-I-P-E-S, les fripes. Some jewelry here, if anybody's interested. Old cameras, or at least camera cases. Look at this nice set. Little cars, toys. Voilà les fripes, here they are. Used clothing. Nice view from here of the famous Marché Beauvau, the covered market. So originally this market was here as early as the 17th century. And originally the market was called les petites halles, the small halles. And you all know the name of Les Halles, of course, because that central food market was eventually transferred to Rungis. You know, it was one of the big dramas in Parisian life when they destroyed the beautiful market in Les Halles and moved it outside of the city. But this market here used to compete with Les Halles, and originally you would have people coming from all around Paris, les maraîchers, the people who grew vegetable and fruit. There were some really well-known places around Paris, especially where I used to live near Vincennes, a city called Montreuil. Montreuil was known for its giant peaches. They were so tasty and so beautiful. They had a unique way of growing them. Even the kings loved them. And so the peaches, you know, they would sell them here, and you would find a lot of merchants. Before that, people would sell hay for all the horses in Paris. And so eventually the market grew. But it's really in the 18th century that they inaugurated a newer version of the market, as well as the covered market here. And the covered market was extensively remodeled in the 19th century, like a lot of covered markets. Bonjour les amis, welcome if you just joined us. This is Véronique, Véro, your best French friend in France. And today, what a treat. I am taking you, because we're doing this earlier in the day, to the wonderful Marché d'Aligre, one of the most famous and oldest markets in Paris. It's an outdoor market, it's a flea market, and it's a covered market as well. Look at all the fripes, old clothing. How cool is that? I don't see tablecloths. Somebody asked about tablecloths. I don't see postcards, but you know, I'm not seeing everything because I'm filming and trying to frame what I'm filming, so it's possible that I missed them. You'll have to come and check them out for yourself. Oh, how about a warm coat for winter? Trench coats. You'll be trendy. So it's a little bit of everything, like I said. So it's a smaller section here for the flea market, right on the square, la Place d'Aligre. And it feels a little quieter to me today, but I'm sure it'll get livelier as we get closer to noon. The colors, the smells, the sounds here are wonderful. This is really what a French market is supposed to be like. So I encourage you to check it out. Allez-y, allez-y, madame, merci. She was waiting for me to go. Boy, see a nice size pastèque or watermelon here. And around the square, you also have, of course, lots of shops where regulars sit. You'll see them sitting outside at tables. Chez Camille over there, popular little cafe. There's a butcher shop. And of course, one of the iconic stores around here, La Grenetterie du Marché. You see it written on the facade here. This is one of the oldest around this market. And it tells you it's the specialist of gardening and grains, but more in the terms of seeds, I guess. So they sell all sorts. In fact, they sell seeds to feed birds. They sell seeds to plant. And they sell a lot of other things because they are also une épicerie, a grocery store. But this is your little garden store in the city. La Grenetterie du Marché. It's been here forever, and you should definitely check it out. They also tell you they have pâtes, pasta, riz, rice, légumes secs, like legumes, I guess. Ooh, sauge. Sage. Bonjour, monsieur. It's beautiful. You see? Here's a nice store, Italian products. Look at the vats of olive oil in there. A creperie. So you have a little bit of everything. So you could come here and then shop at the market and then sit down and enjoy a nice meal or bistro type meal. At the corner there is Au Merveilleux de Fred. You all know this meringue-like confection. That's a chain, a very popular, successful chain that grew in northern France near the city of Lille. It's very rich tasting. It's quite spectacular. And they like to make them in the window so you can see them. These are the big ones, but you have smaller sizes and they have different flavors. They're called les merveilleux. Les merveilleux de Fred. So if you haven't tried these yet, you should. They come in smaller sizes. You'll need to buy the big thing. Oh, this is a nice view here. How about this? In spite of the trucks on the side, we have those facades, the colorful facades on the left. And this beautiful building in the background there that probably dates back to the turn of the 20th century looking at it. Very Parisian. Hope you're enjoying this stroll. You get to see what I could not show on a regular virtual tour if I did it in the afternoon. Markets are not available in the afternoon, so this is our lucky day. Oh, thank you for the stars. Thank you very much. Now, you know I'm a virtual tour guide, so if you want to help friends with Vero, you can use my tip jar on PayPal. I will put all that information in the video notes later when the replay comes up. I will also upload this replay on YouTube for those for people who don't use Facebook. You can use stars on Facebook as well. But the best way to support my work is to join the Friends with Vero Club. On Patreon, patreon.com/French Girl in Seattle. I see names of some of my club members here. I have over 600 club members. They are the good people who help me and support my business for a small amount every month, a small subscription each month, and that enables me to continue sharing free content here on Facebook and on Instagram every day and do more virtual tours. So look into that.
Yeah, if that's all it is, then let's...
Indeed, I mentioned that by being a club member, you also get a lot more content yourself, exclusive content that other people don't see, and live events as well. So, if you're ready, why don't we check out the third and last part of this market? Le Marché Beauvau, the covered market. So remember, this building's been here a while, but it's been completely redone in the 19th century. And in fact, they worked on it very recently, a few years ago. So it looks really good. But this is typical. Look at I hope you can see the structure of the wood inside. The structure of the roof structure in there. Trying to show it to you. I love covered markets. I have a great one in Tours known as Les Halles. Many French cities have them. I would say this probably caters to the hipster crowd a little bit more, sweet romance, patisserie and cafe. But really a lot of the shops inside this market have been here for a really long time. You'll have a lot of meat, several butcher shops, fishmongers, spécialité italienne et fromage. Italian specialty. So it's going to be hard to show you the goods here because people are lining up very close to the windows, as you can see, and I don't want to bug them. But I'm glad I was able to show you a lot on the street or along the Rue d'Aligre. Fromage. This is a very, very famous fromager, one of the best in Paris. The name is, you see it here? Ardouin et Langlais. Top cheesemonger. So picture this place in the 19th century. The crowd walking around shopping, early 20th century as well. They've kept a fountain in the middle. Not sure how old it is. But it adds, I think, to the atmosphere, the ambiance. We have les huîtres normandes, oysters from Normandy. Label Rouge here for the Fine de Clair, top of the line oyster. Label Rouge quality label in France. Les Prairies, see those big plants. And the palourdes as well, les coques, les moules, top stuff. Un artisan boucher, a butcher. It's getting crowded. I was here a little earlier, it was perfectly empty. So here's the fountain I was telling you about. Most markets have them. But this one's really neat. I'll turn around later so you can see it better. Let's go this way. We'll stroll around a little bit. Le chapon d'Aligre, a capon chapon. So this is a maître volailler. This gentleman is an artisan specializing in la volaille, which is poultry. And a lot of the products, as you can see on the eggs there, are bio, which is organic. They have quail, coquelet, so all sorts of poultry. La canette. Oh boy, I'm glad Jeanne is in the bag and is not seeing this. My mascot, the club's mascot, Jeanne la Canne. Jeanne the duck. Glad she didn't see this. She would be horrified. And of course they have their rotisserie section, as you can expect. Bonjour. Bonjour. Beautiful, beautiful products here. Look at the roast chicken. Coquelet, which is much smaller, that's what I usually buy. And then slices, I mean, you can get just pieces of it. Perfect, they just took them off the rotisserie. Ooh, des superbes melons. The cantaloupe. I can smell them from here. Des prunes, plums, all sorts of plums. La Reine Claude, the famous Reine Claude, the green plums named after French queen. Figs. Pardon, jeune fille. And at this butcher shop here, an interesting sight. There's only one left now. They're roasting an entire pig. There were two earlier. And this is France, so you get to see the animal's head as well. This is a really good turnout for such an early stroll. I'm really glad you're all here. I hope you're enjoying this. This is as Parisian and as French as it gets. Though France is not the only country in Europe to enjoy and encourage markets, outdoor markets and covered markets by any means. But this is really an important part of French culture. Typically, a market would anchor a life of a community. That's why Paris, so many neighborhoods have markets and have always had them. This is where people, locals meet. This is where they get the news. This is where they connect. That's why it was so hard during the recent lockdowns over the last year, because all these places where people used to meet, the cafes, the markets were closed. Ham and pâté, all sorts of pâté here. You see the rillettes, very rich. I don't know if you see with the reflection. Yeah, I think it's fine. And the ham, le jambon. Oh, you can see, yeah, I see your comment. You can still see rabbits in windows, their entire bodies. You can still see birds with feathers on them. It really depends on the market, I guess, and the shop. But that's not unusual in France, especially if you leave Paris. Well, I'm really glad I can do that for you. This is a treat for me as well, because it's a really pretty market and it's a historic market. In fact, this building we're in right now is classé, C-L-A-S-S-E, which means it's protected. It's a historic monument of France. So this is quite a treat for me as well. Le Marché Beauvau, if you just joined us. Beauvau, by the way, was the name of a wealthy lady who did a lot for the poor children. We mentioned the place that took care of the lost and found children of Paris. And she was a wealthy lady and she took care of a lot of these kids. That's why they named the covered market Marché Beauvau. So let's see, maybe I'll exit this way. Good to see some of you. I recognize your names. You've been on a lot of the virtual tours when you could, or watch the replays, but I see you comment on Friends with Vero on Facebook each week, each day. So thank you for being here always and supporting this business that used to be a hobby for a long time but turned into a business last year. Thank you for all your support. I'm exiting now the Marché Beauvau, and we are met here by a beautiful facade. You can see the ceramic on the brick. So it's interesting because the brick in Paris and other cities indicates working class neighborhoods, because brick is always cheaper than stone. You see more brick on the side here, but you also know you can date it because you see the ceramic. You see those sections in blue ceramic. You have a few here, here, here. So that's also early 20th century, late 19th, early 20th. They did a lot of that. The Art Nouveau really likes ceramic too. So see how much quieter it gets when you're here? So let's turn around so you can see the market here, Marché Beauvau, and you can see the fountain we walked past inside. It's a pretty mellow scene. It's quieter, which is nice. It could have been crazy today. And these are the opening hours. You can see it's closed on Mondays, and be careful because they close at lunchtime here. You can see they take a break, a fairly generous break in fact, most days. And it's only on Saturdays that they're open throughout the day apparently. Let's keep going for a little while so you can enjoy this neighborhood as well, the 12th Arrondissement, the wonderful 12th Arrondissement. We have a great little bistro here. I might actually come here for lunch later. Le Charolais, named after a popular breed of cows. Tiny little tables. They don't have much seating space outdoors. And then you have locals chatting. I love this building here on top of this cafe because this is exactly what buildings looked like in working class neighborhoods in Paris in the 19th century. Very low buildings. You saw these a lot in Montmartre, for example. We still have those there. But this is really what working class neighborhoods look like. And then it's funny to see when they modernize them and they keep adding floors to them. But really, this is what a Parisian street would have looked like all over the city in a working class neighborhood. Now you see this cafe called the Parisian. How perfect. You probably know that the Parisian were a Gallic tribe in ancient Gaul, even before the Romans rolled in more than 2,000 years ago. And they are the ones that inspired the city name, Paris. So we're going back to the roots, the history of Paris here, which is really neat. I had breakfast at this terrace. The staff is super friendly. I'll be sharing pics and a little video on Instagram later. So if you come here, don't hesitate to check out the Parisian. Look at this gentleman carrying the produce on a cart the old-fashioned way. Paris is still a village. So really friendly place here. If you want just un café, a cup of coffee, or food. We have several good boulangeries and bakeries in this area. I showed you le blé sucré earlier by the square, the park. Here's a pretty one. And I'm almost certain those illustrations here are protected. They look really old. And even if I'm wrong, they still look pretty good. Take you back to the days when Paris, and around Paris especially, was very rural. And you had all these people working, growing fruit and vegetables like the ones in Montreuil, the peaches I talked to you about earlier. Confiseur, on the top it says confiseur, which indicates they sell des bonbons, candy. And in fact, this bread, which we're going back to the roots now, a lot of those young bakers go back to the ancient grains, and these breads are more like what you would find in the Middle Ages, the shape of the bread. There were no baguettes then. Hearty bread, very much heartier than what we're eating today. And the one in the middle, la boule, la miche de pain, would be what you would find. Ooh, and look, they have some nice Normandy cider to go with this. Cidre du Pays d'Auge. Nice. This is hard cider, by the way. So the Parisian advertises pour boire et manger, to drink and eat. And I need to show you a popular place that's located nearby as well, because if you come back you may want to know this is a real estate agency, and I won't even look at the prices in the window, because even though we're in the 12th Arrondissement, which is not a high-end neighborhood, I'm sure prices are through the roof. This is the Marché Beauvau, one last peek at this covered market we just visited. So remember, this is one of the only places in Paris where you can see an outdoor market for fresh produce, a flea market, and a covered market. Quite unique. Not to mention prices are good. Now, if you like your wine, and if you like your apéro time, your apéritif, you need to check out Le Baron Rouge, the Red Baron. They are famous for their wine barrels, where you can just they'll just use the wine off of the barrels directly. The prices are incredible. For a glass of wine, I think they start at €2.50, go all the way to €4 or €5 each. And then they have those famous planches, those boards that everybody does now, the charcuterie, the cheese, or the mixed planche. And then on the weekends, they'll serve oysters. So you come here with friends and you eat your oysters. So le vin au vrac on the window indicates that you can buy the wine in bulk too. Terraces éphémères, those terraces that came to be during the lockdowns when a lot of cafes and restaurants weren't allowed to host guests indoors. And a lot of them have stayed by special permission of the city of Paris. Not everybody's thrilled about them, especially the people who live above at night, but I think they're probably here to stay. And a lot of them do a good job with them, so they're not too ugly. Here's another one here. You can see they've tried to make it look pretty. And so basically they've expanded the former terrace out on the street where parking spots used to be, which is why locals are not always thrilled about them, right? And guess where we are? We are back at the Square Trousseau, where we started this stroll. So we've really walked in a loop. Recognize the little gazebo over there? Ooh, and look at this young lady. Botticelli's Venus is here. Street artist, known as Les murs ont des oreilles, walls have ears. Put a spin on the birth of Venus. Very nice. And I think I will wrap up in the street here, because we are right outside one of these public schools that you see so much in Paris. Again, the use of the brick that indicates a working class neighborhood. When you see this, you know you're near a school in France. You need to slow down if you're driving. So this is both an école maternelle, a kindergarten, and next to it is the entrance probably to the elementary school, though I haven't checked out, but this is definitely l'école maternelle. In very good shape. You have the French and the European flag, as you do in most public buildings in France. A beautiful door. Look at the entrance. This is quite a pretty school. And you have, of course, the coat of arms of the city of Paris, the boat, and the motto, which you probably can't read. It's on the side here. Fluctuat net mergitur, tossed by the waves, but doesn't sink. I'm glad you're enjoying this. This is awesome. Really glad I could do this before I head to the US for a couple of weeks. So let's see. Pull down my face mask now so I can say goodbye properly. I want to thank you for joining me from Australia, from New Zealand. Some of you I've seen from France, maybe from Europe as well today for this stroll around the lively part of the 12th Arrondissement, the famous Marché d'Aligre, the Square Trousseau, a real authentic place in Paris still. Paris has changed a lot, and a lot of neighborhoods feel like they're more for, I don't know, hipsters and tourists these days, but this is a great neighborhood. In fact, you don't see a lot of tourists here, so I encourage you to visit the 12th, especially this section. You will really enjoy it. La rue du Faubourg Saint-Antoine has great shopping, and you can walk to the Bastille very, very quickly from here, so it's convenient. You have several metro stations. It's easy to walk from the Bastille. It's about 5 minutes. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I will give you one last peek at the beautiful Square Trousseau, and I will say my goodbyes for now. I will be on vacation most of September, catching up with my son in the United States and my family in France, but I will pop in once in a while and of course be in touch with my club members. Thank you for joining me, friends. Good night to those of you about to head to bed in a few hours. Enjoy your apéro if you're enjoying an apéro wherever you are. And for those of you starting their day, then have a bonne journée, a wonderful day. À bientôt.